This is Up Close, SABC News weekday program that profiles men and women making waves in the industries, African icons, rising stars, idols and veterans. If they're in the news, then you can catch their story right here. Stay tuned with us for the next half hour as we talk to one of Africa's celebrated fashion designers, David Tlale. David Tlale has been in the business of fashion for over 10 years now. Besides his multiple awards locally and internationally and opportunities such as head designer for Kadushi Women, the one event that confirmed David is a living fashion legend was in 2011 when he closed the iconic Nelson Mandela Bridge in Johannesburg to present his fall collection with 92 models, comprising not only our runway models, but celebrities and personalities, sports personalities. But where did it all begin for this South African boy? Well, let's get up close with David Tlale. I was struggling through that intro. How are you, David?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Good. You know, when you walked in, I was holding myself to say something, and luckily the floor manager said it.
Wow.
It's like, wow, you're a very good-looking boy.
Thank you. I can just say thank you.
So did you ever think about modeling? Maybe?
Never. I could never. I could never be a model.
Why you say that?
It's the worst job to do.
Why?
People think it's glamorous,
yes,
but
they
I mean,
do.
all you do have to make garments look good and sell the product, and that's what you do.
If the product is a good product, then it must be a fun job.
Not for me.
Is it?
I can create product.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into that story then. Creating the product. When did it start for you, David? When did you decide that, you know what, I love this?
It all started in, I think it was in '93 when I was studying internal auditing at, it was Sitlogelo then, and then it's now Tshwane University.
Okay.
And I was like, what am I doing? Because I was bored to death, and I was like, I can't do this. And I started hanging out with students that were studying fashion, and I enjoyed what they did, and because they had time to spend more hours in class after hours. So it was like really great to go see what they do, help them cut pictures and everything. I was like, I actually like this. And immediately I dropped out. I was like, this is it. I'm done with auditing.
Okay.
I'm going to study fashion.
Was it still in your first year?
This was still in my first year. So 8 months later, I was like, no more. I can't be an auditor.
Yeah.
And then I went to Vaal University to go register, and I passed my psychometric test and my attitude test, and it was like really great, and I was accepted with immediate effect, and boom, and the rest is history.
And that's how it started.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go way back. Let's go way back.
Okay.
Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
I was born in Vosloorus, east of Johannesburg, and I went to the Tomo Primary School.
Okay. That's in Vosloorus.
In Vosloorus, and I also did my high school in Tudolisedi Primary School in Vosloorus.
Okay.
Completed my matric there.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean...
What was that like, life in Vosloorus back then?
Life in Vosloorus has been really amazing because I look back today and appreciate everything about Vosloorus, and I love it because I don't think I would have such diversity in terms of design and creativity if I was not raised in Vosloorus. And I appreciate the fact that, I mean, as you know, when you grow up from a township, there's multi-cultures around you.
Yes.
You live with Zulu people, Shangaan, Pedi people. Our area was really, outside, we had a huge influx of the Pedi people. And
because you just like on the borders of the city, so you've got a lot of people who are trying to come into the city that are coming from all the different areas. They come and they stay there.
And also we had a lot of influx of Xhosa people coming as well. So this beautiful mix of people was like really amazing. And I mean, people today when I speak Xhosa, they're like, are you Xhosa? I'm like, no, I'm not. But because we grew up with these people and we could speak different languages. So, and also the most amazing one was these different cultures around us had traditional celebrations. I remember one amazing moment when one of my homeboys that I grew up with, he went he was graduating to become a traditional healer.
Oh, okay.
And then you had like this cloud of people in beautiful red robes. People, it was
what culture was he from?
He was from the Pedi culture.
Okay.
And all these people that came to the celebration had like this beautiful red robes with red and white checks and beautiful beadwork. I was looking at the creative side, not anything else that was happening there, but there was like such spirituality that was happening there. And all those things, they just like, you know, tickle your artistic brain.
I'm thinking about your designs, and I can actually almost see that grandeur in the style.
Yeah, and also, I mean, looking at the Xhosa cultures and the Basotho and Tswana, from my family, we like colored. We have no tradition, so everything goes. Yeah. So I used to look at the Xhosa people, and then my sister got married to the Basotho family, and then my other sister got married to the Bapedi family. So I've been like through all these different people, and all those things have a major role in my creative space. But when that happened, I was not even aware that I'm going to become a fashion designer, because my sisters got married my elder sister got married before I even thought I want to be a fashion designer. And then the fortunate one is the one that works with me now in my studio. At least I made her wedding dress, I did all her traditional outfits, which has been like really beautiful.
Yes, yeah. But then what was your interest then at school? Like in primary school, at school, in high school, for you to end up in auditing, you must have been, what, little maths buff?
Not really. I think when I was in primary school, I know I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
I thought it was beautiful then, and everybody wanted to be a teacher then.
Yes, of course.
And then I hated it. Then I wanted to be a doctor, and then I hated biology. And then when I got to high school, I was like, no, I want to become a chartered accountant. Because it was put in front of me as glamorous and all beautiful, and you're going to make loads of money. And then until I got to it, I was like, this is not me, actually. And when I was growing up, I did a lot of things. During school holidays, when I was in high school, I used to freelance. We call it freelance now. I used to work freelance at a hair salon. I was a shampooist, and I learned quite a lot of things. And ultimately, when I went to Sitlogelo, I had a tiny little hair salon kind of thing.
At school?
At school.
Nice.
Trying to make ends meet. You know, I did haircuts, I did styling and everything. And then I think when I was in matric, there was a friend of mine that came from Mpumalanga. He was studying to become a teacher, but then he did decorations and he baked wedding cakes and stuff. So I learned quite a lot from him. I learned how to arrange a beautiful bouquet of flowers and color combination, and all those little creative things were just adding up into my journey.
Putting together this creative person.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to continue chatting. After the break, we'll continue getting up close with David Tlale. We'd greatly appreciate any suggestions or comments that you have for us. Our email address is upclose@sabc.co.za, and our Twitter handle is @upclosesabc. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Your World on DSTV, channel 404. I'm your host, Mahendra Raghunath. Let's take a look at stories making headlines.
The growth in credit extension, which is about 7%, came largely from an existing customer base of our credit providers.
I said once before, if we can't produce chickens in South Africa, then what can we produce? I mean, chickens is not high barriers to entry.
Human beings who plan the crimes and the criminals themselves oftentimes are much more creative and much more intelligent.
And that was Your World on SABC News, 404 on DSTV.
Well, good evening. Welcome to yet another bumper edition of Sports Live. Tonight we have a bit of a triple threat in the show.
That That's Sports Live, daily at 8:30 p.m. on SABC News, Channel 404.
Thank you for staying with us as we continue to get up close with David Tlale. So David, the creative person was happening like informally. You were just interested in all these creative things, you know, joining your friends when he was doing the decorating, making money, doing people's hair. But at that time, no idea that you would end up in the creative industry.
No idea at all. But I mean, I think there was a tiny little subconscious, you know, little bird that is screaming in my, you know, at the back of my mind to say, this is where you're supposed to be going. But I was not paying attention at that moment. And besides...
Why do you say there was, you felt that there was,
no, but
in hindsight,
because all the things that I was doing, they all led up to being creative.
Yeah.
As I grew up in Vosloorus, I was a scout boy. I started as a scout, and I was a scout boy, and I was one of the people that was like quite creative in everything that we did.
Okay.
And I did well, and I was responsible for so many things. And
but I read somewhere that you did so as a young boy.
Well, it was true? Like really playing with my sister's Barbie dolls.
Oh, sweet.
So
okay.
that's all I did, and just like try to dress them up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just think for me not to have paid attention at that early age, I'm not sure if it did me well or it did not do me well. So, but it's just like, it just happened. And I think the main thing was being pressured by the society, and also to say, when you finish high school, you have to go study to become an auditor or a teacher or something so you can get a job. And we're not being exposed to the creative world that you can actually make a living out of it. And
how did your parents respond to you when you decided to drop auditing and go register at Val and say, listen, I'm going to make fashion?
My mom was like, I am not going to have a son that's going to make clothes.
Yes, of course.
I'm like, Ma, there's a problem. We have to understand this. I'm not going to be making clothes. I'm going to be a fashion designer. And she goes, it doesn't matter. It comes back with clothes.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, I'm still going to do it either way, with or without your blessing. She goes, well, you're on your own. I'm like, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
So I had to work even harder. I had to like start looking for a job to become like a waiter. And that story is like really amazing, because I would go into a restaurant and look for the manager, and they'd be like, just take a seat and he will come or she will come.
Yes.
I'll end up having lunch and not even asking for a job. I had to leave. I couldn't see myself being a waiter. It could never work. And then I started doing other little jobs.
Why was that? I'm interested. Why was that?
I don't think I have a patience for people who like, you know, like, especially with waitering, because I see how people are being treated. And I couldn't see myself being treated like that.
Do you think? Yeah, okay.
And I think the hours were just killing me. I'm not spoiled. I believe I'm a hard worker, but I think it's just like the hours were just killing, and thinking that I'm going to have to knock off midnight, and I have to work Saturday, Sunday, and I have to go to church on Sunday, and I have choir practice on Friday. I have praise and worship practice on Tuesday. So if I commit to be a waiter, all these things are going to have to fall off. And I don't think that's the way to go. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do this.
So which doctor did you finally get to support you while you were at school?
No, I just like, you know, first of all, it was not a job. I just continued with my freelance at the hair salon, which gave me a bit of money.
Yes.
And then I had my uncle, which I asked for money for registration, and he did give me. And then I went to register, and then I was accepted and everything else. And then I remember I think it was 1994, in January, just before my birthday, when I was about to turn 21, my mom goes, so are we throwing a 21st birthday party? I said, no, I don't want no party. Give me the money to go study. And she goes, but it will be nice. I've been saving up for this. I'm like, people are going to come and eat, and I will not have education. So give me the money. She goes, no, I'm not going to give you the money. I still want to throw the party. I'm like, I won't be here for that party.
Why were you so driven and so focused? I like what you said about being a waiter.
Yeah.
Because, no, you were not spoiled. Working in a hair salon, you cannot work in a hair salon if you're spoiled.
Yeah.
You know? So it was just knowing who you really are.
Yeah.
And you were very confident.
I was. I think the main thing, I just knew this is it. This is my dream. This is what I'm destined to do.
How were you performing at school in terms of fashion designing at that time?
At that particular moment, I had no background in art.
Yeah.
I had no background in sewing or anything else. When I got into fashion school, it was like really day one of like being exposed to fashion.
Did you struggle?
A lot. I did. I remember in my first year, my life drawing lecturer, she said to me, David, you are the worst artist ever. And I don't know how you're going to make it. You're going to have to work super hard to get there. I'm like, that's fine. I'll spend extra time, extra hours to pass.
You didn't doubt yourself at that moment?
I was not even worried about me failing or anything.
Wow.
So I was like literally I remember my first term in life drawing, I failed dismally. I think I got like 30% because I couldn't get the proportions right or anything. And then it was my second semester, and then I had to like really push harder. And that only came back when I was like putting extra hours. And I had to spend more time with my lecturer to say, you need to teach me how to get the proportions right, because without this, I'm not going to be able to go through to my second year. And ultimately, I must be honest, on my first year, I was like, I passed literally on drawing. I was an average student. But with all the other subjects, I was like getting there, you know, excelling in it. And at the end of the first year, there's like our annual student exhibition or fashion show, and they give prizes for the best students. And my classmate, she got the first prize to be the best student in fashion. I was bitter, twisted, angry. I was like, actually, I deserve that.
Oh, really?
Then, yeah. But I mean, I don't know how, but it's like, that's what I said. And then I said to her, you can kiss that prize goodbye. And she goes, what do you mean? I'm like, watch me. Second year came, my third year came, and I was the best student.
Wow.
I was overall best student in fashion, second and third year, and my fourth year as well. Because I was determined to be the best. And I think that's where everything started falling into place.
Tell me what happens at that point. You know, you've completed your 4 years as a fashion designer, because there are a lot of people out there in technical colleges, etc. that, you know, is it that easy to start working in the industry?
It's not easy. I mean, when I completed my studies, I became a part-time lecturer for 4.5 years. And when I was busy with my BTech, I was promised a job to become a full-time lecturer. That's when I decided no, because I didn't go through all this to become a lecturer in fashion. And they gave me a contract to like, okay, we can renew your contract. When you come back next season, you can be a full-time lecturer, you have a full-time class. I was like, no, thank you. This is the part when I resign, even from the part-time lecturing. And I did, and then I started my own little business. But in between the part-time lecturing, I was doing like wedding dresses, I was doing matric dance dresses and stuff. And I was like this boy from Fosterus, because I was still working from Fosterus. I was like, I'm sure this is not it. There's bigger things out there. Because I was working from my back room, my mom's house, and because we started out with a small room outside, and then ultimately we built a 2-room, and then I had a typical studio in the other room where I worked there on a full-time basis. I hired 2 ladies to come and work with me in Fosterus, and it was really amazing. And I think it was 2003 when I decided, I'm done with this. I love Fosterus, it's really great, but I cannot be
you know,
labeled.
that's quite big, hey? Because let me tell you something that I know about boys from the East Rand, they never leave home.
Well,
boys from Fosterus never leave home.
I left home when I was 28.
Yeah, you see?
So you see.
There you have it. Okay, we're going to take a break and then we'll continue. After the break, we'll continue to get up close with David Tlale. Do you have any suggestions or comments about the show? We'll greatly appreciate them. Our email address is upclose@sabc.co.za, and our Twitter handle is upclosesabc. And of course, my Twitter handle as well is Tshepang Motsekuoa. Stay with us.
Get all the latest news from the SABC's online news services on our website. Breaking news and in-depth coverage of everything from business, sports to politics and lifestyle. Catch the top news clips and watch live streaming of major news events on the SABC News YouTube channel whenever. Stay connected on the SABC News Facebook page and have your say on news that matters to you. And for the latest headlines and live updates from our reporters, follow us on Twitter. SABC Digital News, anytime, anywhere.
Somebody was injured, they wanted to claim, they hired an attorney. They then submitted a claim at the RAF hired an attorney. The matter proceeded to court. A judge eventually ruled on the matter, and after about 3 to 4 years, you then had an amount to pay. It's a very lengthy process and it's very expensive. I mean, typically, you'd spend about 68,000 Rand on costs beside the compensation for every claim on average. Per year, you're looking at 3.6 billion Rand on these third-party related costs.
Rights and Recourse, Sundays, Channel 404.
Thank you for staying with us as we wrap up our conversation with David Tlale. David, 2003, you decided this is enough. I am moving out of home. And now it's actually 2013. So it's been 10 years that you have been seriously focused as a designer.
Yeah.
Look back at those years. What would you say?
I know I wrote this morning on Facebook that I look back today and I'm grateful to God of my journey along the past 10 years. It has been just purely God's mercy that we are standing. We've been through drama, we've been through it all, we've been through financial crisis. We have grown, we've learned, we've disappointed people, but more than anything else, we are a brand that is still standing and starting to make waves and establish a brand in New York and not just only become a South African brand or a Johannesburg brand. We are focusing becoming a global brand because I believe the world is awaiting for David Tlale, the brand, to become
You know, for me, David,
alive.
like I said in the intro, was that Nelson Mandela Bridge, when you closed that and you had, and it was a long stretch for the models to walk. That's when I said, you know what, this guy is something.
Well,
how did you pull that one off? You closed a whole bridge.
You'll be surprised that we actually got the permission a day before the show.
What?
With all the preparations, and I said, God, this is not gonna be a disappointment because we do want this to happen.
And it had been punted all over the media.
Everywhere, weeks before the show. And we still didn't get the permission, and ultimately we did get it.
How did that happen?
It had to be like meetings and meetings. I remember it was a night before, like literally 2 days before the show.
Yeah.
We just finished work at about 11 p.m. and one of the mayor's office called to say, we have just given you permission to use the bridge. Sure. But lots of convincing, lots of meetings, lots of dilly-dallying because people are saying, we decided there is not going to be any event at the bridge, but somebody had to intervene. And I can only say that's only God's hand.
And after that, everybody just wants to have an event on the bridge. Everyone. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But that is the event for me. Like I say, that it was most iconic. What was the event for you in your career that you're like, this is it. This is who I was supposed to be.
There's many, because one leads to the other. But I bless the day when I made the decision to quit auditing, because that's where it all began. And all these other achievements or other opportunities that are coming, it's just part of the journey as we unfold. And I mean, on Wednesday, we will be unfolding our first, decade. Celebrating our first decade as a brand, and we're showing off in a very amazing space. Watch the space.
Okay.
Thursday morning, probably you'll see it on the newspapers.
All right.
And to say, here we are, and paying tribute to our African heritage.
You know, David, a lot of people are like David fans, David Tlale fans. No, seriously, beyond your clothing. You know, a lot of people you've dressed, they absolutely love working with you.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I heard you say that we've disappointed people, we've made mistakes, but you're loved, you know. What would you attribute people's response to you to? I mean, it's not often that people are loved that much. We can love your work and still call you names, but people love you.
I would say, first of all, I'm really humbled that people do receive the brand as they do, and also me, because I trade with my name. I'm really humbled and I really appreciate it. And I would say to South Africa, thank you for making me who I am today. Thank you for supporting the brand, and thank you for supporting me, even with my flaws and my imperfections. And I would say I'm still going to raise the flag high for South Africa to say, I am the brand that is made in South Africa. I am the brand that is made by a South African child. And the world is going to appreciate and love us. And we are definitely going to say, South Africa, we have it going.
And your spirituality, it keeps popping up. It's something important to you. Do you still sing in the choir? Do you still go to praise and worship?
Unfortunately, I have no time to do that, but my spirituality is everything around me. My brand is made and standing through God's grace. I strongly believe in the principles and oracles that I find in the Bible, that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I make time to go to church. It doesn't matter how busy I am, I make time to go to church, because I believe as much as we achieve and grow as personalities, we forget where it all started. It all started when I was in Sunday school. I became a Sunday school teacher. I used to be in a praise and worship team. I used to be a choir conductor and everything else. That's how David has been made.
That has
and
been the
I could
basis
never
of
be
your
able
confidence,
to forget how it all started. It doesn't matter how glamorous this industry that I'm in is taking me, or busy I will be, but at the end of the day, it all comes back to saying, God is the source of everything that I am and everything that I ever hope to be.
David, we're looking forward to the next decade of David Tlale. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you.
And that's how we wrap up today's edition of Up Close. Catch us same time weekdays on SABC News, DSTV channel 404. You can catch some of our favorite episodes, this one today, definitely, on youtube.com/SABC News. My Twitter handle is at Tshepang Motsekuoa. You can drop us an email, upclose@sabc.co.za. Till next time, bye-bye.